Hello, everybody, and excuse me while we kiss the sky. Tonight's show is all about that Mountain West Conference. Guess what? I got called a dumbass today on Twitter for saying it seems like the NCAA flips a coin when deciding whether or not to issue transfer waivers. Well, heads or tails, and recording live from somewhere, this is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drrodo.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that Green Screens Media train. Welcome to One and Done, the Mountain West Conference Preview Edition, powered by drrodo.com. I am your humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich, the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens Media train. You can find me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Dr. William Cannon. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right to El Capitan himself. He is the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. You can find that man on X at MC Holland 34. The OG Money Mike, that is Mr. Mike Holland. What do you do, baby?
What it do, baby? I'm getting antsy, man. We're closing in on a month until college basketball starts, which means we're going to be with you guys a ton, as if we hadn't been with you guys pretty much all summer, doing all these conference previews. Check out all our stuff on drrodo.com. We've got fantasy football articles out there. Your boy's running white hot in those betting streets. Can't wait to do some betting, DFS stuff, all the goods on pretty much any sport we can get our hands on. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Let's get it rocking and rolling.
We do not call him the OG Money Mike just for fun. This man is on an absolute heater on them DraftKings streets. Make sure you're following him at MC Holland 34 for all of that. And get over to drrodo.com, like he said. And, of course, last in the intros, but first in your hearts, it's Eric the Blue. You can find him in those Twitter streets at FantasyNav. He's the Baron of Bread of Green Screens Media. That's Eric Romoff. What's happening?
The number one rule of Las Vegas is you don't leave the table when you're on a heater. And that's exactly what my guy Mike is doing. And that is exactly what you can do by being subscribed here on the YouTube channel. We are about a month out from the tip-off of the season. That means we're going to be rolling out some of our DFS coverage. We're going to be rolling out some of our betting shows. Check out all of the work that Mike alluded to over the course of the offseason. Our top 20 countdown has kicked off. Those are going to continue to drop in the days and weeks to come. So it's all right around the corner. And Keylan here is back. Keylan needs it.
Yes!
Straight into my veins here for the Mountain West. Can't wait for this one.
Keylan, thanks for checking in. That's 2 shows in a row now that our friend Keylan has checked in to that live chat. Make sure you do the same if you're hanging out with us tonight. Like and subscribe, like Eric said. Make sure you follow everybody here on X. You also follow at Get Green Screens, which is the Green Screens media page, which is where you see some of our regular betting content. And then also at One and Done CBB is the handle for the show page there, where all of our basketball stuff goes, and you can make sure you never miss anything we're doing. Also, your boys are on TikTok at Get Green Screens. Our top 20 countdown has started. Make sure you get over there and you follow us on TikTok as well for that. Top 20 returning player countdown, just like last year. Hey, this ain't our first rodeo. We're back. We're doing things again, and we appreciate y'all being a part of that and doing your part in the Green Screens Media universe. All right, let's get right to it. No more burying this lead at all. The Mountain West Conference, ladies and gentlemen, an 11-team league. Last year, San Diego State took the outright crown with a 15-3 record in the conference, and then again held serve in the conference tournament, beating Utah State 62-57 in that title game, earning themselves a 5 seed, but they overplayed that seed to say the least. Also getting in 10 seeds Utah and Boise State, and 11 seed Nevada was the Mountain West. But as you are aware, San Diego State, those Aztecs, lost to UConn in the national title game. But what a absolute and awesome season for those Aztecs. Has the conference as the 6th highest rated conference, which there's a lot of conferences left to come that we haven't covered yet. So you know that the Mountain West being ranked 6th is going to be ahead of some of those, maybe what used to be those bigger names in college basketball, but not so much anymore. 7 teams inside the top 100. Let's start like we always do with some headlines. Eric the Blue with your Mountain West news and notes. What should we know heading in to this season?
I mean, the biggest question for the conference is what do they do for an encore, right? San Diego State is fresh off that title game appearance. If you were watching us here on One and Done, you know that we were banging the drum all throughout the season that this was one of the great conferences in the entire country. They finished above the ACC in KenPom ratings. To the naked eye, the old eyeball test might have even been ahead of the Pac-12 for most of the year, right? So, there's a lot of momentum and expectation that this league is carrying in. Obviously, the Aztecs, we need to watch how they're going to handle last year's success as they try to, either repeat or potentially even build on that. So a lot of storylines on that front. This is the expectation that comes with success. And on the other side, this is kind of a slow-paced league, right? Real plotting-paced. They really need to make timely buckets if they want to stay competitive in games. And the metrics bear this out, right? 30th in the country in tempo during conference play. It really puts an emphasis on every single possession being make or break, not just from a quality of shot perspective, but also taking care of the ball, right? Like you give your opponent an extra possession, you give them an offensive rebound. That's really going to hurt you when you're playing at that slow pace. So, these are going to be kind of the through lines for all of the teams in this league. Who's going to take care of the ball? Who's going to keep their efficiency up? These are the things that we'll be looking for in the Mountain West this year.
It's not like that. It's not like we're exactly too far away from a team making the title game and then missing the tournament the next year. I will bang on that drum anytime I can. I'm talking about North Carolina there, obviously, but that's neither here nor there. Mike, what are you looking at in the Mountain West coming into the season?
Oh, man, I think it's going to be an absolute war this year for these, say, 4 spots, Eric. I don't know, maybe 3. We'll see if they can get to that 4th one. We'll kind of talk through it. But who can grab a signature win or some quality wins in the non-con schedule? We know how important that is to build your resume. I mean, the teams that came in, right? San Diego State was a 5. You had a couple of 10s and 11. So, maybe the respect on the national scale not quite there. And it's always a tougher route when you get into those double-digit seeds. So, can they get someone up there in the 3 or 4 seed? We'll have to see. And I don't know, just the respect factor, Jay. I feel like that's kind of a big thing here. Is it kind of more of the same of what we've seen, or is that San Diego State title run, does that give this conference a little more street cred? So I'll be looking out to see how that plays out throughout the year.
I definitely think it does. And, they had that credit here with us all season long. It was not surprising to us to see a team from this conference find a way to win games late in March. There's just a lot of well-coached teams in this conference, and we're going to talk about a lot of them here. But yeah, here we go. Mountain West. Let's go into, of course, the transfer portal is taking over everything, and Mike's top 300 transfer board over at drrodo.com is always available. Let's talk about some impact transfer duos that are going to make a big impact in this conference. So, like many conferences, gentlemen, the Mountain West has seen an influx of talent. So it's not just the coaching that's been there. It's not just the veterans in this league, but also so much talent coming in. Let's start right away with New Mexico. A couple of transfers into New Mexico. Nelly Jr. Joseph, which of course is in the all-name conversation, and then Mustapha Amzil is not too far behind. Nelly Jr. Joseph, of course, the 6'9", 240-pound center who transferred in from Iona, averaged 15 points, 9.5 boards, 1.5 blocks, and was number 95 on Mike's top 300 transfer list. And then you go down not too many spots to number 120 on that top 300 for Amzil, the forward who transferred in from the Dayton Flyers, 6'9", 220 pounds there, 9.3 points, 4.8 rebounds, and shot a very, very respectable and tolerable 37% from 3. Mike, whole lot going on here for the Lobos. A lot of talent coming in.
I love what Richard Pitino did this offseason with this front court. You lose both guys, both your starters at the 4 and the 5, and now you bring in Nelly Jr. Joseph and Mustapha Amzil. Nelly, we talked about him last year. He's just so tough. He gives you that low post scoring threat. He's not the most athletic guy, but he can impact the game at the rim. So you're going to get yourself a little bit of defense there with him too, along with that low post scoring. Amzil, this guy's just a terrific shooter. If you didn't watch Dayton at all, he's a very tough, hard-nosed player. to be able to knock down the open shot. He shot 37% from three, so it can stretch the floor from that forward position. I just think that these two, they're going to complement each other really well. And then obviously we got some impact guards from the squad coming back that we're going to talk about a little bit later. And I just really like what Pitino did here. So, I'm looking for these guys to have a big year for sure.
You know, I love me some guard play, but it's hard to ignore these two both coming into this program and not thinking they're going to make an impact in this conference. Going to go ahead now. Let's move on to our second impact transfer duo here. This time transferring in to those San Diego State Aztecs. That's Reese Dixon-Waters and Jay Powell. San Diego State bringing in some shooting and impact defense to help replace what they lost. Of course, Reese Dixon-Waters, combo guard, transferring in from the USC Trojans, 6'5", 210. Love the size on that. Can do a little bit of everything. 9.8 points. Was number 118 on the top 300 on Mike's big board. And, of course, Powell, the forward, transferring in from Campbell, who actually does not take as many L's as our graphic has up on the screen right now. We apologize to Jay and the Powell family, but he transferred in from Campbell, 6'9", 190-pound forward, long, lanky guy, 12.3 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks last season. Number 287 on the top 300. So, Eric, obviously a couple more players there on the big board for Mike that are going to look to make an immediate impact for the Aztecs, hopefully to let them see their way back into the tournament.
Yeah, look, anytime you're bringing in two guys inside of Mike's top 300, like these are players that are going to make waves. They might not get the the national attention that we've seen with some of the other huge transfer classes, but they're super solid overall, and they're great gets in terms of fit overall, right? Like this team had a fair amount of guys head out the door. We obviously saw Bradley leave. We got Seiko out the door. We got Mensa, right? Like fair amount of turnover from this roster. So a lot of utilization, a lot of opportunity for these guys to come in. Waters, obviously, he's got some pedigree if he's coming in from USC. Didn't shoot, the best last year, but he's been known to knock down a three here or there, give you a little bit of pop on the offensive side. Paul, he fits really nicely with what Coach Dutcher wants to do. On the defensive side, he can really be a menace, but also he brings a little bit of versatility to the front court on the offensive side, right? He can kind of knock down these mid-range kind of 16 to 18 footers. So, maybe not the most marquee names out there, but guys that are certainly going to have an impact for this Aztec squad.
Yeah, it's hard to sort of look at a team that made a run to the title game and say, like, well, what can you do here? But they're so well coached, and I just think that they're gonna fit in real nicely for what they're doing there for Coach Dutcher. Utah State, those Aggies now, around Central Texas, at least where close to where this show is being recorded, Aggies are not always the kindest to look at. But those are the Texas A&M Aggies who we will hit on in our SEC preview coming down the road. These are the Utah State Aggies welcoming in Nigel Burris and great Osobor and a couple more guys from Mike's top 300. Again, these are talented guys transferring into this conference. Nigel Burris transferring in from Idaho. Those Vandals up there, 6'7", 225 pounds, 8.8 points, 5 boards, and a silky smooth 45% from 3. Gotta love that from Burris there. And then Osobor transferring in from Montana State, 6'8", 245, 10.1 points, 4.6 rebounds for Montana State last year. An entirely new roster for the Aggies, Mike, as Coach Ryan Odom is out the door at VCU now. New head coach Danny Sprinkle brings in Osobor with him and is plenty familiar with Burris from the Big Sky. So there won't be that adjustment period, getting to know what type of player he is. So it looks like Coach Sprinkle is starting off with a couple of nice pieces here from the portal.
Yeah, a couple of nice pieces and an entirely new roster. We love when coaches bring their guys with them, right? We've seen that as a trend in the past. Osobor, he's a very strong presence inside. We haven't really seen him with with the large role, so now he's in a stronger conference. We'll see what that adjustment looks like. I'm really high on Burris. Fantastic freshman year with the Vandals. an excellent outside shooter, really good size. I think he complements Osobor's skill set very well. I'm really interested to see what this is going to look like. I think that's the biggest thing is, we knew what Utah State was last year. This thing is going to look completely different. But, as far as, what Sprinkle's been able to do, I think this is a good job, at least in the front court here for sure.
Hey, Mike, who was the coach at Utah State last year?
I believe it was Ryan Odom, correct?
Yeah, that's right. VCU, right. We got it. Yeah, I said that earlier. We got it there. All right, good deal. Moving on now to those UNLV running Rebels now. Look at those guys. Boone, last name the same.
Kind of look the same.
I didn't say they all look the same. What did you say? I said, Mike. I did not say. Oh, you were saying they look the same because they're brothers. Not. Oh, okay. Oh, Kalib and Keylan Boone, of course, transferring over to UNLV. Kalib Boone transferring in from those Oklahoma State Cowboys, 6'9", 200-pound forward, 10.6 points, 5 boards, number 91. On Mike's Top 300 over at drroto.com. And then, of course, brother Keylan Boone transferring in from Pacific, 6'8", 200 pounds. And, of course, they got the same hair. They're both 6'8", 200-ish. They're both going to score the basketball. Keylan averaged 14 points and 4 boards with a silky smooth 41% from behind the arc. Dare I say, Mike? No, wait, hold on. Dare I say, Eric? Reunited and it feels so good. The Boone brothers are back, baby, and ready to make an immediate impact in this conference for the Rebels.
We are so back. We love these kind of stories, right? Like anytime that there's brothers that end up on the same roster, anytime that there are guys that played together in high school or played together at other teams, definitely like a reunion story for Keylan in particular. Both these players really started out at Oklahoma State. Keylan left in search of more playing time and found that with Pacific. We talked to their head coach earlier in the offseason and got some insight from his role there last year. Kalib stuck around at Oklahoma State, and he put up some pretty solid numbers in a tough Big 12. You know that we will put a premium on any production in that elite conference, dare we say. At times it looked like Kalib might be one of the best forwards in the Big 12. His real issue was consistency, right? He would get hot and cold, but man, when he was hot, it was some of the best big man play that you could find in the entire conference. Now these two come together at UNLV. They theoretically are going to finish off their careers there. We love seeing them come back together, and it's going to be really interesting to see how Coach Kruger utilizes these two, right? Maybe one of them starts, maybe one of them comes off the bench. A little bit of an open question in terms of their role on this UNLV roster, but all told, 2 fantastic guys coming into Las Vegas.
Whereas in March, there were 3 fantastic guys rolling into Las Vegas, and those are the 3 right here on the left side of your screen. These guys going out there for the West Regional. But yes, of course, the Boone brothers hitting up, UNLV to finish out their career, like you said, going to be fun to watch. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think you guys, Mike, you think they'll play it together a lot at the same time?
I think they will. It's interesting because you got Jaelen Hill coming in from OU as well. Like, this is a really good UNLV front court. He was another guy in my top 300 transfer, and they're all forwards. So, Hill's probably might grab one of those starting spots just because he has a little more size. It's really we're gonna have to see this, but I can see them playing together in spurts. But I don't know if they're gonna start together.
Well, we've only talked about one other guard up to this point, so we're very big man centric here on the transfers. But the talent is the talent, right? Like, we're gonna get to another guard here now for Boise State that transferred in. Roddie Anderson coming in from UC San Diego, 6'2", 190-pound guard, 13.1 points, 3 points this time, and 1.2 steals, number 221 on that top 300. Some guard play finally. Love to talk some guards, this. But then Omar Stanley, forward, 6'8", 230, back to the big, meaty men slapping meat. Transferring in from St. John's, 4.7 points, 2.7 boards. Oh, sorry, wasn't on the top 300 when it ended. Did make a brief appearance. To Omar's credit. did make an appearance there. But that doesn't make it any less impressive of a haul, Mike, for Boise. They did not want to be left out of the transfer, that transfer haul coming into the conference, I guess. These are two very young players with some big-time ceilings.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like Roddie Anderson. I watched a lot of film this summer of this kid. A great freshman year. I just think he's got the makings to be a very, very good player at this level. And you're going to need him because you lost Marcus Shaver. So that's a big piece off of that Boise State team. With Stanley, got to see him in spurts. We followed St. John's very closely, especially with DFS because they were on every every showcase game that we did because they played at a frantic pace there. But an impressive athlete. There were times where you'd see him out there and be like, man, this guy can jump out of the gym. He can make some things happen. But just all kinds of mess out there, right, that they're looking to get cleaned up under Rick Pitino, but that's for another show. For Stanley, though, I think that, getting a little more run, kind of getting out of that mess, I think that's going to kind of open up his game. These two guys are going to be very, very important for the success of Boise State. So looking forward to especially seeing Anderson and what he can do climbing up to this level for sure.
Thank you for showing the guard some love. I appreciate that very much, very much so. Looks like we got a comment here as we wrap up our Mountain West Impact transfer. Does Keylan need a waiver? We talked. Go ahead, Mike.
I don't think he does because I believe he's a graduate transfer. So I believe he is good to go. And it looks like he was needing a waiver in April. We may need we'll get that cleaned up. But I think as of right now, I think he's good to go. So we'll double check that. Obviously, that's huge news to watch. But yeah, so we'll get that answer for you by the end of the show for sure.
Well, and again today, I in the lead into the show, I told you I got called a dumbass because I made a comment that said hey, it feels like the NCAA is just flipping a coin when they're deciding whether or not to grant these waivers. And I've been pounding that drum for a long, long time about we're going to see so many of these guys that we're hyped up on not get cleared to play this year because it's their third, fourth team. And the NCAA just, I don't think so. So we'll see what happens there with Keylan Boone.
There's a lot of decisions that are needed, sure. Man. There's when you have 1,800 guys in the transfer portal, and a lot of these guys are two-time transfers. At least it's tough to figure out who's getting the waiver, who's not getting the waiver. But I think as of everything that I've researched, that he's good to go. So
good question, though. It's a good question to drop in there because it needs to be on our minds because it's going to be some of these players that we're expected to just be in there. And come tip-off, they're going to be on the sidelines having to wait out a year. So thanks for dropping that line in there. We appreciate that. To wrap up the Impact transfers, of course, let's put a bow on that. Nelly Jr. Joseph and Mustapha Amzil for New Mexico. Reese Dixon Waters and Jay Powell for San Diego State. Nigel Burris and Great Osobor for Utah State. Kalib Boone and Keylan Boone for UNLV. And Roddie Anderson and Omar Stanley for Boise State. I stumbled there because in our pre-show, my good friend Eric decided to make a DJ Kalib reference to try to throw me off.
Another one.
Kalib. Another one, yeah. But you caught me there on the running down the list. So thanks so much for that, my guy. I appreciate that. Those are our Impact transfer duos to watch for the Mountain West. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Appreciate you being here. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss anything we're doing. Turn on those notification bells. The best thing you can do, though, is tell the hoop heads in your life about us and what you're seeing here on One and Done. Like all those Twitter handles, at One and Done CBB, all spelled out, at Get Green Screens. And make sure to leave us a comment now. Let us know what transfers are you excited about heading into the Mountain West Conference. Leave us a comment in that live chat, even if you're watching it right before the season starts, because this content is evergreen, just like all of the conference previews that we have done and will do. Make sure you leave us a comment and just chunk it up if you need to. Just say, hey, Keylan, right, is our friend that commented again this morning saying they needed it in their veins, and we needed too. So thanks for hanging out with us. Be like Keylan and getting those comments. We appreciate that. All right. We hit the transfers coming in. Impact duo transfers. How about
Jay, I know you're excited about some backcourts that we were about to talk about. These are three of the best backcourts in the country.
Hey, I had to get my complaining in earlier on, knowing damn good and well we were getting to these guards later on in the show, baby. I knew it, and you knew it, getting to some guards. A lot of good guard play here in these impact duos, returning dynamic duos, if you will. Let's start right with New Mexico again with Jaelen House and Jamal Mashburn Jr. Damn it, I feel old.
Every time.
Every time. And it's not just because I'm turning 40 on Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. It's Jamal Mashburn Jr. Goodness gracious. All right, let's start with Jaelen House first. All right, 6 feet, 170 pounds, 17 points, 4.7 dimes, 38% from three. Love that. And are you kidding me? 2.7 rips a game. The quick hands from House. Love it. 2.7 steals. That's hard to beat. And then you go to Jamal Mashburn Jr., and of course, he scores the basketball just like Pops, 19 points per on 38% from three. A couple of great shooters from beyond the arc, Mike. And again, like you were sort of saying coming into this segment, this is one of the most dangerous backcourts in the country. And I'm really excited to see these guys make a push to get into the tournament this year.
Absolutely. Can we have that? Can we have that, please?
Please.
This was the last undefeated team in the country last year, and then it just kind of fell apart. But we talked about the front court that's coming in with Nelly Jr. Joseph, Mustapha, Amzil. Feels like they got the horses up front to go with these guys. I think it's going to make them even – can you really even say this? Make them even more dangerous, but it does. I mean, they can both flat out score the ball. They can shoot the three. House is a better facilitator, and he's more aggressive on the defensive end. Mashburn's more of like your pure scorer, like, hey, I need a bucket, go get it for me. And man, I just don't know, man. Like I'm so high on this team this year, and maybe I need to pump the brakes a little bit. But I'm super excited about this tandem coming back, and I really hope they make this push.
It's hard not to be excited about the Lobos this year, man. Like I don't blame you one bit. Like this is going to be a fun team to watch, and of course they're going to be well coached. You know this. Speaking of people coming back to the comment section,
snap.
Jody.
What do we have here? Jody, my guys, it's been a while. It is getting close. Ooh. You are right, Jody. You are right. We're excited that you're here, Jody. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being here, Jody. And we love, we're talking ball all the time.
This. Yeah, we got a wow duo for
not the only one in this conference.
No doubt. Yeah, that won't be the only one. Jody, it's good to hear from you. Thanks so much for checking in with us again. Good to see you in those comments. Be like Jody. Be like Keylan. Hit those comments up. We appreciate everybody being here with us. Let's move right along now. Swipe right, which I never did Tinder. Which is the good one? Swipe left or swipe right?
Yeah, I think it's swipe right for the good one.
Whatever the good one is, let's swipe that way to Lamont, Butler, and Darrion Trammell for San Diego State. Sticking around, of course, more guard play, baby. You love to see it. Of course, Butler is 6'2", 295 pounds, 8.8 points, 3.2 dimes, and 1.5 steals. Loving the defense in this conference from these guards, baby. And then, of course, Darrion Trammell, 5'10", 175 pounds, 10 points, 3 dimes last year. Okay, not as heralded as the previous duo. I get it, Eric. I get it. But they just got done playing in a national title game. And you can look at these stats all you want. It doesn't really do them justice in just how much of an impact they have on the Aztecs in general.
Yeah, look, much to our chagrin in DFS season, like the amount of guys that Coach Dutcher is rolling out there is something that will just put your mind in a blender when you're trying to figure out who's going to get the run. He likes to roll out 11, 12 guys every single game, and none of their individual stats are going to jump off the page, but what these guys do have is they can point to the scoreboard, right? Like they put up some big games and some clutch shots in the biggest moments in the tournament, right? You've obviously got Butler with that shot that sent him to the title game. Trammell scored 21 in their win against number 1 Alabama, right? So now that Matt Bradley's gone, like I'm still expecting there to be a pretty healthy rotation for this team, but there is a little bit more usage that's available, and I like these two guys in particular to kind of sop that up and see their numbers take a big step in the right direction.
Well, either way, they're going to win, and it wouldn't be surprising if everybody on the team averaged 10 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, and a steal and a half, and just down the line and flip. Not so fun for DFS purposes, but really, really fun in terms of knowing that if you're an Aztec supporter, you're going to see some great basketball and some consistent basketball out of your team for sure. Excellent stuff there for the Aztecs. Love those guards coming back for, again, a team that made a deep, deep run. Moving on now to those Boise State Buccos. Tyson Degenhart and Max Rice. All right, we're mixing a big man here. That's fine. All right, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it, especially one as talented as Degenhart. All right, that's fine. 6'7", 230, a little bit more meat than those guards, but maybe not too much more than the other guy on this graphic here. Degenhart averaged 14 points and 5.5 boards last year. And then the aforementioned Max Rice, 6'5", 200. He's no small dude himself, but a little bit more of the guard role here. Averaged 14 points, 4.5 boards, and shot 41% from three. Give me all of that. Yeah, okay, Mike, I know Marcus Shaver. Yeah, losing him hurts, right? But the other two of the big three for Boise are back and ready to rock.
Yeah, it hurts, but I mean, getting the two of your big three back, like you will take that every season. So, you can't really sleep on the importance of getting your best shooter and your best inside force. That's a dynamic duo right there. So, with Rice, he's the coach's son. He's an assassin from long range. He's got really good size, like you mentioned, Jay, able to stretch the defense, and that's huge for this team. Degenhart, he's just gotten better and better. He played a lot of 5 last year. I think he may be able to play some 4 this year. I think they like what he's able to do versatility-wise, at the 5. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. But, being only 6'7", 6'8", a little bit tougher for him, obviously, on the defensive end. But he's got the bulk there. Just a lot of versatility that it gives your team here. So super excited to see both of these guys back in the fold.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, of course, like you said, anytime that you can get two of your big three back, there's not a lot to cry about there for sure in Degenhart and Rice. Moving on now to Nevada. Keenan Blackshear and Jared Lucas sticking around. All right, back to the guards. Good. Only guards now on this one. Only guards. No more big men right now. Hey, whatever. Hey, Blackshear, 6'6", 215 in that guard role, 14 points, 4.5 dimes, and 1.5 steals. Blackshear is such a talented player. He's so fun to watch. And then Jared Lucas, 6'4", 195-pound guard, 17 points, bucket getter, 38% from range. Another great backcourt returning in this conference, Eric. Last year, Blackshear, you don't have to go back very far to see Blackshear and Lucas leading this team to an NCAA tournament bid.
Yeah, exactly, right. And look, like we are guilty of this as well, right? Like we led off with House and Mashburn. I think a lot of the national coverage out there is going to shine the light on those two. But this backcourt for the Wolfpack is one of the most underrated in the entire country, right? Blackshear took a huge step forward offensively last year in his 4th year. He struggled a little bit from 3. He needs to work on taking care of the ball and limiting his turnovers, but really good size for a guard. He's a lead guard. He's a solid defender. Just a lot of things that you like out of Blackshear. And Lucas, like you said, my guy's a bucket, right? Like he can fill it up from seemingly anywhere on the court. He's got that quick trigger that you like. Both these guys are now upperclassmen, right? Heading into year 5. These are both guys that Coach Steve Alford was absolutely raving about when we talked to him earlier in the offseason. Go back and check out that interview. But also these are guys that, look, they're going to be key to the game plan when other coaches are facing off against this Nevada squad. They're going to continue to give them headaches. They have to be accounted for. This is a truly dynamic duo.
Not even mad about leading with the big men here. I get it. But, this is not like you could call it the land of the big men, and I will continue to pound this drum. College basketball still goes through the guards, and Nevada has a solid pair here. Another comment here. They're flowing in tonight.
Riley agrees.
Jared Lucas is a bucket. What's up, Riley? Thanks for joining us.
Bucket.
Yeah, he is a bucket. He's a bucket. That's exactly right. Riley, thanks for jumping in. Those comments. Appreciate you. Thanks so much. I'd be Riley's first time jumping into the comments, I think. Don't know that we've heard from Riley before, welcome in. Appreciate that. Hit those like and subscribe buttons if you like what you're hearing and seeing. We're doing this all off season, all through the season. We don't stop. College basketball doesn't sleep. Neither do we. It's okay.
Oh, by the way, we did every mid-major too.
Yeah.
Go back and check those out.
Yeah.
25 minutes.
If you're just jumping in and this is your first one and done conference preview show, welcome. But nobody else is doing 25 minutes on the pick a conference, guys.
You want to go with the Patriot.
The SWAC?
The SWAC.
Who's doing 25 minutes on the SWAC? One and done is. Go check it out. Go to the YouTube channel that you're already on and find it and like and subscribe and do all those fancy things. Hit those buttons for your boys. Do your part in the Green Screens Media universe. But thanks for checking into the comments, Riley. We appreciate that. Last one here on our returning Impact duos, Isaiah Stevens and Patrick Cartier for Colorado State. Isaiah Stevens, of course, 6 feet, 185-pound guard, 18 points, 7.5 dimes, 38% from three. Can dig that all day long. Cartier, 6'8", 220-pound forward, also can shoot it from deep, sniping it at a 44% clip while averaging 12.3 points per contest. One of the top shooting duos, just flat-out shooting duos in the conference, Mike. Plus, on top of that, Stevens can probably make an argument to be the best overall player in the entire league.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that he's probably going to be I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of tough choices for preseason player of the year, but I think Stevens is going to make a very, very strong case. So we'll see. Love to see when those start to come out. It's a tough year for the Rams. They're really going to reap the benefits, though, after everything that happened last year. And really, these two set the tone. Cartier made a smooth transition, coming over from being a D2 All-American. So that's something we're going to have to pay attention to. We always talk about the JUCO guys, the D2 guys. You'll see that on a lot of our mid-major preview shows. We don't know who's going to burst onto the scene. And, he's a guy that, played pretty well. So with a year of D1 experience under his belt and you have a point guard like Isaiah Stevens, I'm expecting him to take another huge leap forward. And anytime you have big-time shooters at the 1 and the 5, you're going to be a dangerous team. I don't care what else you put around at the shooting guard position and the wing and the 4. That, these two right here really are going to set the tone for sure.
Yeah, no doubts about it. These have been the Mountain West dynamic duos returning to the conference. These guys have stuck around Mountain West. They got that Mountain West blood running through their veins. Jaelen House and Jamal Mashburn for New Mexico. Jamal Mashburn Jr., yes. I left it out on purpose to try to make myself not feel as old. Jamal Mashburn and Jaelen House for New Mexico. Lamont Butler and Darrion Trammell for San Diego State. Tyson Degenhart and Max Rice for Boise State. Keenan Blackshear and Jared Lucas for the Nevada Wolfpack. And Isaiah Stevens and Patrick Cartier for Colorado State. I couldn't help it. I had to do it one time. He's a baller. He's not even going to care. He does not care. He's a stud. So we can have a little fun there. Impact Dynamic Duos returning. We hit the transfers before then. Thanks for hanging out with us still. We've got another segment or so to go. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Get in the comments like everybody else. Is Jody back?
Jody says guards rule March, and he's on the East Coast, and so all this West Coast content is just what he needs for DFS purposes. So we're doing it for everything, for knowledge, for DFS, for betting. Yeah, we had a strong year last year, so ready to do it again. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and if you're doing East, this conference is going to turn heads. Yeah, man, for sure. Jody, there's no doubt about it. This is a strong conference, loaded with talent, and even more talent coming in as we hit on earlier in the show. So, but there's up and down. You'd be surprised. Some of these conferences we've hit on already, the amount of talent that we were able to focus in on. Make sure, everybody, that you hit some of those old conference previews up, the mid-majors, and now into our the big cats, the big guys, the big guns. And of course, KenPom with the Mountain West rated 6th. Best conference last season. No slouch at all. Let's move on now to a little game we like to call More or Less. We're going to go more or less here. New segment here on One and Done. More or less. Simple enough, right? I'm going to ask you gentlemen a question. You fine folks. And I need a quick answer. No dilly-dallying around. Let's get to it. Tell me more or less, all right? Jody's got stuff to do out on the East Coast. It's late hour. It's already after midnight. Gotta go to bed.
Live, so let's get there. Let's go through some rapid fire here. More or less, though. is what I need from you. Let's start here. First question. San Diego State won this conference with 15 wins last year. More or less, 14 league wins will get it done this year. Mike?
I'll go with less. I think there's just too many good teams at the top. We just talked about how strong this conference is. I think it's going to be a struggle to get over 14. I don't know that San Diego State's going to be able to dominate like they did. Eric, what say you on this one?
I'll say more, but just barely more. I think it's probably going to be 15 wins to take the league again. You know, like you said, like we've talked about, there are some really good teams up top, but there's some teams that are riding the struggle bus. We'll talk about that in our tiers later. So, you know, these elite teams might be able to beat up on some of the guys near the bottom. I think 15 is what gets it done.
More or less, off to a great start with our first push in the first question. That's great, guys. 15. Yeah, more or less is the game, okay? Wyoming, let's try again. Wyoming won 4 conference games last year. More or less, Wyoming winning 4 conference games this year. More or less.
Less.
All right, Mike.
Less.
Yes, there we go. Less.
All right, say it with your chest. Less. No Maldonado, no Reynolds, no Odin. Last I checked, DK was in our WCC conference preview. And there's not really any impact transfers coming onto the squad. So, yeah, I don't see it, man. Eric, talk me into this. Like, I don't know. What are you doing with this one?
Pass. No, I'll go less. You know, not the biggest name in the world, but we do have Sam Griffin coming in from Tulsa, right? Like he's if he can go nuclear, you know, along with this collection of, you know, true freshmen that are going to be trotting out there, you know, maybe they get it done, but that's a lot of ifs, right? So realistically, I think they'll probably end up less.
Should have gave him another push. I want to see Jay's reaction.
Yeah,
I might have just shut it all down at that point. Can't be. Yeah. No. All right. Thanks for not pushing, though. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Wyoming they had it bad last year with all the injuries. That was a team that we were really high on going in, and injury bug bit them bad. That was tough. All right, moving on. More or less, still not put more. Up, less, down. Air Force finished only above Wyoming last year. So more or less, the Falcons finish above 2 teams last year. More or less. They will finish more in front of more than 2 teams or fewer than 2 teams, more or less.
I'll go with less. I'll give them Wyoming again. I don't know if I can give them anybody else, just kind of looking at the teams here. There's no seniors on this team. There's a ton of freshmen on Air Force. Count me out on this one, Eric. Count me out. What say you?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Honestly, I'm not even fully convinced that I can put them ahead of Wyoming, right? Like there's not a ton of difference makers on this squad. They saw a ton of points go out the door, right? Like any time that you have a program with this many question marks, it's hard to give them, you know, much of a vote of confidence.
Oh, excuse me, I almost let out the cough there. All right, more or less. Can we get some more, maybe? Everything has been less, guys. This is depressing. Let's go Fresno State now, okay? Fresno State finishes with a better record in the conference than more teams or less teams. So, like, okay, here's the median line with Fresno State. Are they going to finish above more teams, or are they going to finish above less teams? I think it's how we want to answer this question.
Are you doing a dance here? Like,
you can dance if you want to. You can leave your friends. All right, more or less.
Less. They're just. I mean,
that's a weird question.
It is a weird question, right? Yeah. They're just not really in the top tier of this league, so I got to bump them down. Like too many other teams above them, they're going to really have to battle this year to stay relevant. So no, thank you for me.
Eric?
Yeah, I'm with Mike here. We'll keep the depression streak going, right? Like, you know, Moore, Baker, you know, these are guys that are out the door that, you know, scored a lot of points from, and they didn't exactly knock it out of the park with their incoming transfer class, right? So this is probably one of those programs that I was talking about earlier that the elite teams are going to beat up on this year.
How should I have worded that? They will finish with a better record. Okay, they're not going to finish above many people, is what we're saying. Less. Fresno State will be yes. Okay, we got there. We got the gist. You know what we feel about Fresno State now. Okay. Utah State was a tournament team after winning 13 league games this year. So we're going opposite end of the spectrum here. But we got basically that whole new roster like we alluded to earlier, a new coach in Danny Sprinkle. So more or less than 500 will be their winning percentage. More or less than a 500 winning percentage for Utah State. Mike.
Oh, I'll go with more because I feel like we've been talking. We've been talking this conference up. I talked about the front court earlier. I feel like it's a really underrated front court. Coach Sprinkle, he knows how to coach some defense, so that's going to give them a chance every single night. But if I'm giving them more, it's probably by one game. So one game over 500.
More is more. Here we go. That works for me. Eric, what are you doing? Are you still just depressing us some more, or what?
Yeah, I'm the bearer of bad news, right? Like this is probably a little ambitious with the guard play they're running out compared to some of the duos we talked about earlier in the show. You've obviously got Danny Sprinkle coming in from Montana State. First year coaches, fair amount of roster turnover. There's a lot of things that are going to have to be navigated. And to be fair to Danny Sprinkle, if I can actually go for a push, he did go 10-10 in his first season with Montana State. So maybe he finishes right at 500. And we can both be wrong.
You son of a – I can't believe – you know what? No, I'm just kidding. I could totally see them finishing around that level, though. Like, it does make sense. I don't blame you, but play the damn game. Okay, here we go. Last one. Let's see if I can get real answers out of both of you on this one here. We haven't talked much about San Jose State, all right? So 15 wins last season. Their only season with 15 or more wins since 2011. Will they have more or less wins this year?
Oh, boy. This program is back in the dumps. I will go less than 15 total wins. I mean, the reason why they got there is Amari Moore was just a monster last year, and it felt like they kind of overachieved. So back to the basement for me. Eric, you with me? You taking this ride down misery lane?
Yeah, I'm completely with you. Right, like last year was a nice story and all, right? But like there aren't the marquee players on this roster. I'd be shocked if they got to double digits, just given how much of a void there is. So feels like last year was more of a flash in the pan.
Jay, do you have something nice to say?
Guys, this is such a great conference, and all the teams we talked about in that segment suck, it seems like. But and we'll hit on that on our tiers here, so you will see that we do think that there are good teams in this conference. So that wraps up more or less, and we'll probably never do that again. But here we go. Well, we may reword some things on that and come back to another version of that. But thanks for playing more or less with me, guys. Make sure if you're still hanging around after more or less, like and subscribe and leave us a comment. Say, hey, even if you just chunk up a deuce in the comments there. Last but not least, of course, we're not going to get out of the one and done. What would a one and done conference preview show be without those world famous tiers that we have? And this night, of course, the Mountain West Conference is going to be subject to the Mountain Dew tiers
buddy.
Tonight. You know it. We had to get a little crazy with the tiers here. So, of course, up at the top, everybody's favorite, that Baja Blast, baby. Right up at the top. Original in the middle. I mean, okay, don't use the color coding as the color of the drink because obviously the original might have been that green. Green is good. Green is top tier. That's Baja Blast. Original. The tried and true Mountain Dew, the ones that I used to pound as a kid when I shouldn't have and just got just so wired and annoyed the shit out of my parents. And then Code Red down at the bottom. You ordered the Code Red. All right, no, different Code Red. This is not good. These are some of those bottom tiers that we seem to hit on all of in the more or less segment. So Baja Blast. And start up there in the tier that we feel like will be the top and probably the ones that are going to challenge for one of those 4 tournament berths as long as the Big Ten doesn't get 40 teams in again. Mike, tell us a little bit about right up there at the top for that Baja Blast. Oh, Ask and you shall receive with the color coding. Baja Blast at the top, Mike. Here's where the tournament teams are, where a lot of the talent is. But start off with the Baja Blast here, Mike. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Boise State, Nevada, New Mexico, and San Diego State. Any of these teams could really take down this conference. So if you're asking me today, I can't get away from New Mexico, even though I know a lot of people are going to be on San Diego State. I really feel like New Mexico has the juice this year. But man, like look at the guard play on these teams. Like it's pretty outstanding. Even with Boise State having Rice and then bringing in Roddie Anderson, you got the Nevada guys. House and Mashburn, New Mexico, San Diego State has all that experience, and these guys can put up better stats than Trammell and Butler. So guard play. They're also some of the stronger defensive units up here. So yeah, I think if I'm calling my shot, I'm going New Mexico.
I don't blame you. I could tell how tickled you were about those Lobos earlier on.
Yeah, just love the fit.
Pardon me, in the show. And you might not be able to make it out there, but that Nevada Wolfpack logo, it is right there up at the top. So Coach Steve Alford and Nevada, they are not disappearing from the Baja Blast segment. We might just not be able to see their logo, but it's there. Trust us. Of course you trust us. You're here watching. It's one and done. Of course you trust us. Eric, that original tried and true tier, easy for me to say there. A few teams here just making up the meat of the sandwich, I guess, if you will, of this conference.
Yeah, look, I kind of feel like there's almost a sub-tier break within the OG Mountain Dew tier here, right? You've got Colorado State, we've got UNLV, and then we've got Utah State. And for me, Colorado State and UNLV are kind of a notch above, right? We talked about Stevens and Cartier for the Rams. We talked about the Boone brothers coming in for the Rebels, right? I think there's some pretty clear momentum building with those two programs. And, for as much, reason there is to be excited about Danny Sprinkle coming into Utah State, like first-year head coaches, they usually take a little bit of time to adjust. So I think it'll be a competitive squad, but I don't know if they can necessarily, push for that Baja Blast here. Whereas I wouldn't be surprised if either of Colorado State or UNLV makes a little bit more noise this year.
I can see Colorado State replacing one of the 4 teams up at the top. Just when you have Stevens,
pick one. Pick one. If one team drops from Baja Blast down to the original tier and one team bumps up,
I guess Boise.
I would say Boise. Eric, you think San Diego? Did you think San Diego State would take a step back?
No, he doesn't.
No, I was just being spicy.
All right, okay. All right, hey, I wanted to know it. I wanted to know what you had there. But yeah, I would say Boise as well there of the 4. But I don't know, man. I think this is pretty clear cut. Just like the bottom tier of this conference is our code red: Air Force, Fresno State, San Jose State, and Wyoming. Look, if you were around for the more or less segment, we're not really high on any of these teams in this tier. Air Force only finished above Wyoming, and they might not finish above them this year. Fresno State, the transfer class didn't really bring anything in like we talked about earlier. San Jose State, this is just a brand new team. Wyoming, yeah, it's tough. It's tough down here in the code red tier for sure. So let's wrap up the tiers here with up in the Baja Blast, up at the top, Boise State, Nevada, New Mexico, and San Diego State. Of course, these are in no particular order. These are just the tiers, alphabetical actually. So it is a particular order. But Boise State, Nevada, New Mexico, and San Diego State. Original, that OG Mountain Dew tier, Colorado State, UNLV, and Utah State. And then down there at the code red, even though the code red, let me tell you, it gets slept on sometimes. But for the sake of this show, code red is the bottom tier: Air Force, Fresno State, San Jose State, and those Wyoming Cowboys. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
we did it.
That's the Mountain West, baby. We did it.
We got the big six left.
Appreciate y'all being here. The big 6, right? And one of those will obviously have ranked below the Mountain West in KenPom's final conference rankings last year. We will get to that soon, but before we wrap it up, let me start first with Eric the Blue and some final thoughts.
Man, this is going to be another super competitive year for this league, right? Like I wouldn't be surprised at all if we're talking about one of these teams making another Final Four run this year, right? Like these are some super talented rosters, and it's going to be a murderer's row. Like you come out of this league and you will be seasoned playing some very competitive basketball. So definitely like what the top side of this league has to offer us. And I can't believe it, but we're a few days away from breaking into what's next, the Pac-12, the Pac-2.5 here on Thursday.
The Pac-4,
so
what are they?
The train keeps rolling.
Super
right?
Pac.
Like we're not stopping. We're not slowing down. The season's going to be here before we know it. It's wild.
It will be. And I'm not, let's not, oh, you said Super PAC, and I just like, oh God, just like PTSD. Mike, finish this, please. Let's wrap it up.
Absolutely. I think there is a pretty clear gap in the conference. There was some of that last year too, where it was 4 or 5 teams that were really, really strong, and then you had some doozies, but that happens in most conferences. So I don't know if the balance is quite as good as some of the other conferences, but the teams at the very top, like these are so dangerous come late in the season. And it would not surprise me if this league got 4 teams in again for sure. So yeah, I'm high on New Mexico. San Diego State's got the horses again, even though they're probably not as heralded as some of the transfer classes. But yeah, these are some great teams at the very, very top. So looking forward to it.
The Mountain West Conference. Thank you all for hanging out with us tonight. Whenever this was tonight live, if you were here like Jody, Keylan, and Riley were, who hopped in those comments in that live chat, we appreciate you. I can hang a minute or two. Jody! Well, it's 11:23 here in Austin, and I got to get some sleep. So thanks for hanging out with us, staying up late with us, Jody. Thank everybody for hanging out with us. 2 of the best in the business that I have the pleasure of doing this with. My name is Jay Heinrich, the conductor. That's Mike. He's the captain. That's Eric. He's the Baron of Bread. Make sure you follow our guy at The Real Napier as well. Our guy Chris has jumped on to the Green Screens Media family doing big things for us behind the scenes. Make sure you follow at Get Green Screens on X and on TikTok. Make sure you're following us over there on TikTok at Get Green Screens, and then at One and Done, CBB, all spelled out there, scrolling across your screen. Shout out to the graphics department. Oh, man, those graphics were fire today. Shout out to the graphics department. Fire! Just like One and Done, baby. You know us. You love us. Thanks for hanging out with us. Take care of yourselves. Tell somebody you love them. Let's get this bread, baby.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.